slow down and stop, and at this point we're just figuring, okay, well, I can still see the road ahead of us, let's just keep going. This is a very minor road. We shouldn't have been on the road in the first place, but the sign that declared the road closed was buried in snow. The road was covered with just unbroken snow, and we were making the tracks now.
Where the hell are we? This map makes no sense. This is weird. It's totally deserted. Wait, you know what? I think we took a wrong turn back there. Jim! Jim, stop! Jim, we're in about 2 feet of snow! Jim, stop! You're making it worse! Jim, stop! Jim, stop! Stop! It's okay.
Right there was when fear hit me, like, oh, God, wow, that's a lot of snow. That's pretty deep.
It took a while to really figure out what really had just happened.
I can't believe this.
What is this stupid road anyway?
We were a little concerned, but people get stuck in the snow all the time, and it's not that much of an issue because there are other people around to help.
Oh, we are going nowhere tonight.
So we decided to just wait it out and hope for somebody to come along and help us.
Look, honey, we still got plenty of time to get to Idaho. If we don't freeze to death first.
It's not the end of the world. We'll flag somebody down tomorrow and go get us a tow truck or something.
Jim, Jennifer, and Clay spend an uneasy night in the truck. They have no idea they've driven off the Nevada backroads into the middle of a 5,000-acre wilderness.
Oh, God.
Holy shit. What is this place? There's nothing.
What have we done?
When we saw how desolate the area was, it occurred to us that that road probably wasn't very well used. And I guess there's a little bit of anger at first.
Gravel!
Because it looked main enough to us at the time.
This isn't even a paved road. How could we be so stupid?
We didn't know really where we were.
Look.
But the last town we had passed through was well over 50 miles.
The only place we can be is here. We must have left the 299 right about here.
Let me look. Wildlife refuge. God, it's huge. How are we gonna get out of here? We'll never get those too tight, crappy chains back on without tools.
To make us feel like we were doing something to help the situation, we decided to try to dig the truck out. So pretty much all day long, that's what we did.
The wind was blowing. The snow was really dry, so as fast as we could shovel it out with our hands and cups, the wind was blowing it right back in our way.
There was so much snow underneath the truck, in front of it, behind it. We really couldn't get it moved at all. This wasn't the answer. This isn't how we're gonna get out of this. but we were still kind of hopeful that somebody would notice this truck in this location or drive by, or if a plane flew overhead or something. We decided to stay with the truck. We spent time getting cozy, using clothing and towels and whatever we could find to plug up any areas where cool air was getting in. Every now and then we would turn the truck on and get the heat going and listen on the radio for any news of a search for us, but we never heard anything.
F for fries.
Fries. Oh. No.
Just decided to kill the time by playing hangman and 20 questions.
M.
No.
Oh, man.
The food issue was always right there.
C for chocolate.
Oh, God, chocolate.
Hunger wasn't quite as bad as being as thirsty as we were.
Okay.
Surviving on very dry snow.
D.
A D. No. You are dead.
Man.
Ow.
My stepson has no reason to go AWOL. He was granted leave, and he has to be at a funeral.
We were getting very concerned. We then started calling the highway patrols, and they said it's a New Year's weekend, and they had more important things that they were concerned about at that time with the road conditions the way they were than looking for a possible missing person.
Okay, but how long does it take before someone is listed as a missing person?
We were really worried, but they just couldn't help us in any way.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for your help, except you haven't been any.
Kevin really wanted to leave, but we still had the funeral to go to.
Clayton was breastfeeding still, and we were just introducing solids into his diet. The little bits of baby food that we had left, we tried to ration to him in conjunction with breastfeeding as best we could.
You want some fruitcake? You should eat, you know.
We should have brought some real food.
We had crumbs of this bag of chips and a fruit cake, which Jennifer didn't eat. She didn't like it and didn't want it. So I ate that, and that was all we had as far as food goes.
We should see sunny spells all across western Nevada.
We knew that it's been days now and nobody's come, and we knew we were going to have to do something. And we had heard on the radio that the weather was supposed to clear up and get better on Saturday.
Listen, I've been thinking.
Nobody's coming, are they?
We can't just sit here and starve. And if the weather's gonna break, then we could walk. We could make it to the highway.
How far do you think, Jim?
Well, there can't be anything for 50 miles back the way we came. But if we go this way to the I-140, it's, I don't know, 20 miles?
How long will it take?
If we leave early tomorrow, we could be there by nightfall. If the weather guys are right.
Okay. At least we'll be together, right?
That's all that matters. We should maybe write something. Just a note to whoever might... You know, just in case.
So we tried to spend as much time as we could in that creek bed.
Geert and Warren plan to follow the creek to the mountain's summit.
I've been hearing a lot over the years about Hinchinbrook Island and figured being so close, you know, I should go and check it out. But it had always been on my map.
Hinchinbrook is renowned in the hiking community as one of Australia's best-kept secrets. Accessible only by a single ferry that makes the crossing once a day.
You know, when I go hiking, I don't go hiking usually to be with the crowd, so I took off on my own. It was a big sense of freedom, I suppose. I think the isolation is always a huge part of it for me. You know, I'm always out to try and get to those places where not everybody goes to.
There are rarely more than a handful of hikers on Hinchinbrook, scattered along the island's only established trail. Geert van Heulen is a photographer and painter. He's travelled from his native Holland to walk the trails and paint the landscape of Hinchinbrook.
I really like the physical exercise because I start not very well trained and basically walk myself fit. Hiking to me is one of the things I really basically live for, and also being able to sketch and paint and draw is very important to me. The opportunity that I got for that on Hinchinbrook was just awesome, fantastic.
Eventually got towards the end of the day and got to Little Zoe Bay, and first thing I noticed is there's a guy sitting down on the beach wearing a bandana basically, sketching the scene out on the ocean, and I remember thinking, wow, that guy looks pretty chilled out.
Hey, how you going?
Hey. I'm Geert van Keulen from Holland.
Or McDonald's?
Yeah, good to meet you.
Good to see you.
Straight away there was a connection.
It's a beautiful place. You know, I have some friends, got some friends in Townsville. They was talking about the Hinchinbrook, you know? You know?
What do you got there?
It's the trail notes. Some trail notes for Mount Bowen. I was thinking to climb it, you know?
Take a look.
Yeah, take a look. You know that there's that book, 1,000 Things to Do Before You Die.
Oh, yeah?
Apparently the view from the top of Mount Bowen is in there twice.
How long do you reckon it'd take to climb?
If you're interested, then we can climb it together. I mean.
So we made a plan to get an early start in the morning.
We started walking out of the campsite and, well, not much was said between the two of us. I straight away noticed that this is a guy who doesn't really dwell on about stuff. Let's get on with the job. That was the type of guy that Warren was.
We figured it'd probably take 8 hours to get to a high camp, and from there the next day we'd be able to make the summit and probably come all the way back down to the beach in that day.
Mount Bowen is covered in almost impenetrable rainforest, but from its peak to its base run creek beds that cut through the dense undergrowth.
Now, one of the things you come across in Queensland is this vine called lawyer vine. Pretty aptly named. When this stuff gets hold of you, it's not too keen to let you go. So we tried to spend as much time as we could in that creek bed.
Geert and Warren plan to follow the creek to the mountain's summit.
We got to the point where we were basically hopping from boulder to boulder.
And every time I saw Warren, without any effort, basically sort of tiptoeing almost over the rocks in front of me, that I had a real battle of getting on with.
I don't know where I got it from, but I've got a pack on for the first time in 6 months and I'm bouncing like a gazelle from rock to rock.
I remember thinking, what if I started here, you know? I mean, this is not a joke, this is serious walking.
Jeez, you all right, Git? You all right?
Yeah, no, fine. Take the camera. Got it.
Your legs all right?
Yeah. Stupid.
It came obvious to me that he was just fitter than I was. But at the same time, I was having a great time. And I like that sort of element in hiking very much. Why should it be easy? I might as well stay home.
We'd probably been going for 5 hours or so when I started thinking, wow, you know, we don't look like we're anywhere near where we need to be.
What do you reckon? I reckon we're in the wrong creek bed. I reckon you're right.
I didn't feel like we were lost. I don't even know if I'd use the term geographically embarrassed. To me, it wasn't a huge deal.
We're gonna lose the light, you know, soon. It's gonna get dark. We can't exactly camp here. Come on, Git. Come on, Git.
We kept on going up and up, going from one boulder to the other. And as it just goes in the tropics, the dark sets in really quickly. And before you know it, you need a torch just to find your bearings. We realized we couldn't go any further. I was just glad to have stopped, and I think Warren was as well. And that's why we made our camp, and we had tea.
So I need to take a leak, and the last thing that I want to do is do it in the creek. You remember, we're out there hiking. This is our drinking water. So the rule is you want to get at least 50 metres away from the creek. So I decided that I'd climb up this embankment and, you know, made my way across the creek, feeling my way with my feet, and got to the wall on the other side. And got my foot up onto the rock. And at that point I heard a huge crack. I didn't have a clue what had happened. Not a clue.
Warren, you all right? Warren? 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 Jesus, what happened?
I shone, and I saw a complete surrealistic scene. It was a human being, and this huge rock was on top of him.
At this point, it's totally all about the pain grinding down into my legs, and I need to make it stop.
In a freak accident, Warren MacDonald is pinned under a chunk of granite weighing more than a ton. He has no idea how badly he's injured, only that he's trapped.
So we just keep pushing at this thing for a couple of minutes.
It's incredible the negative energy that the rock actually gave. It was almost as though the rock was pushing me back. Nothing happened, and it's like trying to push a tank out of the way.
I'm in a world of pain, but there's not a hell of a lot I can do about it. At some point, something kicks in, and I would almost describe it as some kind of primeval survival tactic. And at this point, I start directing Geert.
Oh, my God, you're calm. Just stay calm. All we need to do, we need to build a lever. We've got to find a branch. Something we need to get a big branch. A little branch. I will be as quick as I can. Go quickly, Geert.
So it started raining. I'm thinking, this is an idea. We don't really need this. The last thing we need right now is rain.
After 5 days alone with no food or equipment to help him survive, he is exhausted and starving.
By this point, I realized my chances were very minimal. I mean, I thought I was going to die. So I had one shot. That was to make it to San Jose.
Kevin's only hope is that the current will carry him down to San Jose. In November 1981, 3 backpackers traveled to the remote outpost of Azriamis in the Amazonian jungle. Yossi Ginsberg is a 22-year-old from Israel, fresh out of national service with the Israeli Navy.
The reason why I came to South America was one reason. It was very clear to me. I wanted an adventure. I was very naive, bright-eyed, open to the world. Everything is possible.
With Yossi is Kevin Gale, an experienced traveler. He's a 29-year-old photographer from Oregon.
I was traveling, I had an agent in New York, and I was sending my shots to him. So I had motivation to try to have some shots published. And of course I was thinking maybe I'll publish some in National Geographic, but it was primarily for myself that I was doing this.
With Kevin and Yossi is Markus Stamm, a 29-year-old school teacher from Switzerland.
Marcos and I had been great friends. We'd been traveling off and on together for 8 months. He was going through a crisis. A relationship had just broken up and he was falling apart. And he just wanted to escape.
The 3 friends have spent months backpacking around South America. But now, a charismatic Austrian, Karl Ruprechter, has drawn them to Azriamis with the promise of a real adventure. He will take them into the uncharted rainforest to meet a lost tribe of Indians, never before seen by Western eyes.
Guys. As we set off from Azriamis, we started seeing, like things were changing, and we weren't exactly the same people already. And I think the reason for it was that we knew we're leaving civilization behind, and this is it, just the 4 of us.
It's a jungle.
The friends follow their guide into the rainforest. Ahead of them lies a week-long hike to the Indian village. From there, Karl has told them they will return to civilization by rafting down the Tuichi River.
It was a different world, and we could hear animal life all over the place. Monkeys were howling, screaming, and I could see birds, numerous varieties, all over the place. It was like a picture.
You know, Kali's not so tough.
What would you know about it, Yossi? You were never in nature like this before?
Well, I was in the military.
Yeah, that was the Navy. This is the jungle. Where's this damn village?
Oh, this is bad, my friend. You gotta be careful with this. You see the saws? They will all open up together in the end, then you've got no skin left. and your feet are kaput.
It was heart-wrenching. It was like a betrayal, and it was a terrible feeling. I really felt ashamed.
It should take little more than a week for Carl and Marcus to hike out to the nearest village. But now Yossi and Kevin face the dangers of the river alone.
Kevin and I went into full excitement into let's the adventure begin. A new chapter, no more 4 people. Kevin became the authority, and I accepted his authority. I guess part of it was an issue of age, but the other part was that I didn't know rivers.
All right, get it dead straight. Go. Keep in time with my rhythm.
Almost immediately, we entered a series of roller coaster waves.
Hard your side.
It was a different river.
Paddle hard.
It's becoming much more intense. You know, like the river is getting narrow, the water swifter.
And certainly it was a bad decision to continue. That was a major mistake. And that's what happened. We hit the rock.
All right, Yossi. I want you to listen to me now, okay? We can't stay here. All right? So I'm gonna jump, okay? I'm gonna swim to the shore, and I'm gonna throw you a line.
I don't want him to jump. He tells me why he's jumping, and his plan is completely suicidal. But in that stage, I think not only that it's suicidal, he kills me.
Kevin, no! Kevin! Kevin! Kevin, don't leave me! All right, Yossi, throw me the shoes and the machete!
I saw the raft teetering back and forth on the rock.
And then at the same time, the raft moves, and I hear that terrible screech. The mass of water just...
Yossi! Yossi, hold on!
He entered the rapids, and I saw him go through 2 or 3 rapids, a couple drops, and around the bend he went, and I didn't see him again.
It's like huge pressure on my chest. And I can feel that, you know, like the power of the river. I'm shooting at such a high speed and deep under the water. It's like the pressure surmounts. I cannot breathe. I feel this is it. I'm exploding. I'm dying. And I knew this is my end.
Kevin has finally worked his way back to the river, but he is now miles downstream from the canyon and Yossi. After 5 days alone with no food or equipment to help him survive, he is exhausted and starving.
By this point, I realized my chances were very minimal. I mean, I thought I was going to die. So I had one shot. That was to make it to San Jose.
Kevin's only hope is that the current will carry him down to San Jose.
I was no longer thinking about Yossi. I was thinking about my life. I didn't have anything left. So now I was trying to save my life. And that's what I did.
After hours on the river, Kevin's condition is critical. He's barely conscious and has no idea if he has passed San Jose or not.
All of a sudden, I see a canoe. The current is swift, so it's taking me downriver quite a ways. And then finally, they turned their heads and they began waving their arms. Like this, like downriver, downriver. So I let go of the branch I'd been holding on to, and I began swimming towards the shore. When they approached me, they asked two questions. They asked me if I was lost, then they asked me if I was hungry.
Just days after being rescued, Kevin has made his way to a Bolivian army airbase to try and convince them to mount a search.
I went to the office of the commander and I spoke to him, and he said if a gringo, a traveler, was lost in the jungle, that he didn't have a chance.
I hear that noise, and I listen to that noise because it's so foreign, and I start realizing it's an airplane. I'm saved, and I know everything now. I know also that Kevin is in the plane. I know it's a plane after me. I know it's Kevin there, and I'm just jumping on my feet, and I'm running, and I'm screaming, Kevin! 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 I just collapsed. For the first time, I was defeated. You know, I felt defeated. I knew that so much hope, and they didn't see me, and there's no way they could see me. I clearly heard a buzz, like a bee or a wasp, and it's like coming closer, and I can start hearing it circulating my head. So, you know, I'm already in like the zone of like delirium. I'm just trying to get rid of that wasp, and it's so strong, that noise. In a certain point, I think maybe it's trapped inside the mosquito nets, and I raise my head and I just try to get rid of that wasp, and the buzz is in my ears, and as I raise my head and I don't see the wasp, but when I turn my head right there on the beach, I see shades and people. I mean, it's like at that stage, I don't know what's going on. Just, you know, like Kevin, like a flesh is already there, and I'm collapsing in his arms, and we just hold each other and hold each other. It's now just emotion. We cry and cry and cry.
I couldn't believe it that we'd found him. If he would have been upstream, just 100 yards away, he wouldn't have heard us. We wouldn't have seen him. I mean, it's literally 1 in a million.
Cold wave of snow in a kind of a hissing roar that just whooshes by.
Denali National Park, Alaska. 6 million acres of wilderness, dotted with spectacular glaciers and rugged mountain peaks. It's a magnet for extreme climbers like Dave Nyman and Jim Sweeney.
Man, you should see the view from here.
This is an area as big as England. We were the only climbers in the whole Alaska range that we knew of.
Jim Sweeney's idea of heaven is taking on a treacherous rock face with his good friend Dave Nyman, the man who taught him to climb.
We've had great times in the mountains, thousands of hours, and we've taught each other a lot.
Hey, come on, Naivo! Come on, keep up, slow coach.
Great, Jim. Jim is a better climber overall than me.
Hang on, Dave. Gotta get past the snow bulge.
After 2 hours of fast climbing, Jim reaches a bulge of snow above him.
I'm looking for ice. I'm looking for something hard to get some purchase in.
Hello?
I was just kind of hunkering down, trying to keep snow from hitting me as he was fussing around up there.
You thrashing me, Jim?
Cold wave of snow in a kind of a hissing roar that just whooshes
Battling deep snow and fading light, Dave drags Jim back to where they'd stashed their equipment. Jim has dislocated his hip. He drifts in and out of consciousness. Now Dave has to find a way of surviving the night.
I dig straight into the hillside and move the snow from this 45-degree face.
He digs a snow hole. The snow will insulate them from the plummeting temperatures of the oncoming night. After 6 hours hard skiing, Dave reaches the ski hut.
Yeah, radio. Radio.
No. Oh, great. That means there's no cavalry coming today, and we can't just pick up the radio and call a plane passing overhead.
Come and sit down.
The group of skiers are on vacation. One of them is a paramedic. He agrees to go look for Jim.
I'm greatly heartened by this, but I am shot.
Just stay here and rest up. We'll see what we can do.
And I told the two skiers leaving if they don't get to him tonight, they'll probably freeze.
You're clear about where he is. You sure you can find him? We'll just follow your tracks. It's okay.
The next morning, Dave heads out to try and find the rescue party.
I heard probably the most beautiful sound I've ever heard.
Oh!
Oh! And I'm screaming, and I hear Dave.
Jim? Jim?
He's buried in a snowslide. Buddy was smiling, just dumb and as happy as you would expect a person in his predicament to be.
I'm crying, I'm back to the helplessness, crying, fighting, I can do both. Feel sorry for myself and fight.
Mark Niver and his wife Roberta are flying over the Ruth Glacier looking for a place to land for a romantic picnic.
It was the place that Mark had proposed to me. It was our anniversary, so we decided to go up there. That was our plan.
Stay up there for an hour or two and have some lunch and kind of walk around and we wanted to enjoy the sights because it's just such a gorgeous area up there.
Roberta, look, SOS! We gotta go in.
No, we don't, Mark.
Roberta doesn't want to risk landing. She's 7.5 months pregnant.
shouldn't land here.
It's an SOS. We have to land.
She's nervous, obviously, and she's telling me, Mark, we can't land. She's kind of hollering at me. It's somewhat distractive as I'm lining up to land.
In the poor light, Mark can't tell if it's 3 feet or 30 feet down to the snow. He tries to abort the landing.
At elevation, you know, the air is pretty thin. The engine doesn't perform at all like it should.
I grabbed my stomach and held on.
And all of a sudden, we just fell out of the sky.
Dave and Jim remain stranded halfway up Mount Johnson. Unbeknownst to them, Mark and Roberta Niver's plane has crashed 8 miles away. Their attempt to help has only made things worse. Fortunately, the shelter of the ski hut is close at hand.
Living in Alaska, things happen. You just have to adapt to what your situation is.
Hello, where'd you come? Can you help, please?
The baby is still moving, but Roberta has ruptured 2 discs in her back.
I had to pull within myself. It was already a very scary situation. Tried to remain calm and tried not to dwell on what if. I was afraid if I started to think what if, I'd be in trouble.
All of a sudden, we're flying downhill. I'm screaming bloody murder.
And I pick up speed, and this is it. I'm falling. Free fall.
Jim's luck has held. He's been caught on a ledge 30 feet below the surface.
Is that it? Is that all you got?
I start screaming at God, you know. I'm telling him, I can take more. I can take more.
Come on! I can take more!
Jim. Oh, Jim. There's a ramp.
And he says, Jim. He goes, there's a way out.
We can make that, Jim. We can make that.
Ramp must have been about 70 degrees. It was just ridiculous.
Okay, Jim. On the count of 3.
Okay. 1, 2. Ah! And again. 1, 2. Yeah! That's the stuff. That's the stuff. Good, Jim. You're helping me.
I'm looking right up at Dave. He's looking right down at me. This is going to be a lot of work.
Hold yourself there. I'm holding me. I'm holding. Come on, man. 1, 2, 3.
It's total team effort. Total us working together.
I had to try to get him up this ramp.
Jim, you gotta help me.
He didn't have an ice axe, didn't have a shovel. Now my precious shovel is gone.
Get on you, man. I'm holding.
We're probably moving a foot at a time. Sometimes we're probably only making 4 inches on a pull.
Come on! Come on, Jim. You're nearly there.
get in today at all. Visibility is too bad. Over.
So I go back up to the mountain hut, and everybody's got this hopeful look on their face.
Looks like they're not going to be able to come in today.
That's great.
When I think back, it's amazing I remained as calm as possible until I started crying. I just started losing it.
Now you're an airplane. And then I see a little red dot coming up the glacier.
A brief and almost miraculous break in the clouds has made rescue possible.
That was a great moment. It was really hard. Hard for me to, of course, I broke down and cried at that point. And
You did it, Dave. You did it.
God, it's like we're at the pearly gates. I mean, he's right there. He's circling over us. He keeps tilting his wings at us.
Get your act together.
he's saying, "Don't cry, stand up, you're a hero." And so he's telling me all this stuff of how to act, you know, you saved my life, you're a hero.
You don't want to be blubbering when the helicopter comes.
Shut up, Jim.
Alerted by Mark's radio, planes have been flying above the clouds searching until the weather suddenly cleared. Those few minutes of sunlight have saved them all.
How about that? Can you feel that?
No, I can't feel anything.
Kartal Kaya, a mountain ski resort in northwest Turkey.
We had boots that you laced up.
US Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Mike Couillard is taking a few hours off to go skiing with his two sons.
I hope we have a lot of snowball fights.
Mark is 12 years old.
Don't hit me in the head.
Matthew is 10.
By American standards, Kartal Kaya is not a real big mountain. It's about 6,000 feet. We'd been there once, and we hadn't really totally explored the mountain, but it was, certainly a good place for us to go with the family. I thought, well, what a great time for my sons and I to get some bonding time.
Get out of it.
Matthew's got a quiet strength and heart of gold. He just cares about people. Mark's always been a very curious one, very adventurous.
After lunch, Mike and Matthew head back up the mountain, while Mark stays behind to ski with his friends.
Matthew and I were together, and Mark and his friends gonna go on their own for a while.
He said that him and Matt were gonna ski together, and that was the last time I saw him that day.
The mountain of Kartal Kaya is rarely welcoming, and by the time Mike and Matthew reach the top of the lift, a solid bank of fog has rolled in from the Black Sea. Locals call it the Mister. It produces a whiteout, and the ski slope back down to the resort is no longer visible.
There's two different paths you could take, the left or the right.
It just was getting harder and harder to keep sight of the trail.
Snow just kept getting thicker and thicker. We started to realize that no one skied down this hill in quite some time.
We've lost the lift.
I think it's over there.
We'll have to sidestep up the slope.
Realizing that they've skied down the wrong way, Mike and Matthew start climbing back up the hill. Despite the conditions, a search and rescue team is sent onto the mountain.
As I was looking out the window, kind of hoping I would see them coming down the mountain, I could hear the loudspeakers playing Turkish pop music on all the ski runs, hoping that my dad and brother would hear it and find the hotel.
By now it's late into the night, and I'm just thinking, how is Mary gonna take this news that we haven't come back? As we're settling in, I'm formulating a plan. What am I gonna do tomorrow? Because tomorrow's got to go on, and we've got to get ourselves out of this mess.
Mike and Matthew have passed a night on the mountain in a howling blizzard and freezing temperatures. Mike had decided they should stay put. As dawn breaks, their survival depends on being found soon. After an uncomfortable night, Matthew awakes cold, wet, and still exhausted.
We woke up kind of groggy that morning. I think because we had slept off and on the whole night. In the daylight, I was able to see there was like an opening in the rock.
Mike's survival training kicks in. When lost, find shelter and stay where you are.
It's a cave. We've been sitting on top of it all night.
As dawn breaks on the mountain, the storm clears.
Thanks. I will. See you, Mark.
Snowplows have opened the way to the resort, and Mark is able to get home.
I'm keeping sane because I'm thinking Mike would never leave Matthew. I'm thinking he's had survival training.
Dad, I'm real hungry.
I'm realizing they probably don't have food, but maybe some of the snacks they took, they just had stuffed in their pockets.
It's our last one. Do you hear that?
What?
Helicopter.
Come on, Dad. Please go. And see you.
All of a sudden, a shot of adrenaline took over, and all action again. Scrambled outside, and to my amazement, this helicopter just literally seemed like it was flying out of the mist. But as suddenly as this helicopter appeared out of the mist, it was gone. And it was almost a hopeless case. I just was too far down into this little valley to be seen. The good news was I knew they were looking, and I knew they would be back.
The search is still concentrated around the resort. Mike and Matthew are miles away on the other side of the mountain.
It's the fourth day, and all of a sudden we heard this helicopter sound.
Helicopter.
I didn't have much time to get outside. I didn't even have time to put my boots on. It came seemingly out of nowhere. I could even see the American flag painted on the side. It just flew right over the top of us and was gone. It never made 2 passes.
Mike realizes that the helicopters aren't looking for them where they are. They're flying over on their way to a search grid on the other side of the mountain.
My hopes took a plunge into despair.
Mike's survival strategy is to wait to be found. He thinks the ski resort, and therefore rescue, is close by and visible from the top of the ridge. But as the days pass, his and Matthew's conditions are deteriorating.
I kind of did this morbid calculation that, you know, it'd be better to come back without my feet than not at all. I kept putting myself in that situation where I've left a family behind without a father. I just couldn't face the reality of that. I found myself looking at Matthew as he lay there sleeping, and he just looked so peaceful, almost like a little angel as he lay there sleeping, and I became aware of just how fragile he was.
Silence on the mountain. There's been no sign of rescue helicopters for days. Mike realizes that staying put is not going to get them rescued. But Matthew can't move, and his condition is getting even worse.
I was not pleased with what I saw. Even more of this waxy gray flesh that was not good. As careful as I was being, it was still not enough.
How about that? Can you feel that?
No, I can't feel anything. A helicopter! Dad!
Sounds like a Huey. It's not worth it, son. It's too far away. Matthew, listen. I've seen some cabins I think I can get to. I'm just not sure I can leave you behind.
You know what, Dad? Maybe you should go. Because if we stay here, they'll just be finding our bodies.
It was like he was giving me permission. Boy, I was really tired. I'd have to stop every 5 minutes just to catch my breath. It was a much more weakened state than I thought. But if I could just get there, there would be people there waiting for me to send help back to my son. Well, as I get closer to this village, I'm looking for telephone lines, power lines, signs that there really are people there. I don't see smoke coming out of the chimneys. I don't see any snowmobiles. All I see is animal tracks. It's pretty obvious that there's nobody there. Two days had gone by, and I didn't know what kind of mental state he would be in, let alone his physical state. I had to let him go. I can't take care of him anymore. I just came to the thought that I don't know what I'd do if I had to go back and face Mary without Matthew with me. I'd run out of water. I grabbed a couple pots and pans and crawled my way to the front door to just scoop some snow off the steps.
Stand up! Behind them!
A band of loggers has been clearing the trail of fallen branches brought down by the snow, and by pure chance, they stumbled on Mike.
There was a man at a shortwave radio, and they were telling me, well, we're in contact with these people that are out looking for your son. I knew that they were doing everything they could to go find him. By now, I mean, it's a sea of humanity. People are just flooding around this little cabin. And I can see the sea of people parting. And they're carrying this little package that was my son.
Hi, Dad.
Unlatch the door. Brace yourselves.
Jim Hawley and Jens Lundy have known each other practically all their lives.
He's more like, almost like a brother, you know, somebody I could never get rid of if I wanted to. You know, we'll always be friends.
Hey, do you remember the life jackets?
Yeah, I got him. You worry about flying the plane.
We've always been really close friends.
Here they come.
The friends have asked their fathers to join them for a weekend of fishing in Mexico. They hope that the trip will prove a turning point in their relationships.
I hadn't seen Jens probably in 3 or 4 years. We kind of drifted apart.
When I called my dad, I don't know that he put as much thought into, I'll get to hang out with my kid.
Hi, Dad.
And really just have that dad-kid friend relationship that I was looking for.
We really didn't have much as far as in the way of emergency preparedness.
Jim continues to impress his dad with his aviation skills.
Real smooth takeoff, Jim. Couldn't ask for a finer day, gentlemen.
The fun things that I saw out of the trip was to be able to go with Jim and have him be able to fly the plane down there, and that he was showing that part of his success in life. But I was very happy with that, and I thought this will be an opportunity for us to spend some time together and talk about things maybe we haven't talked about before.
From Arizona, it's a 3.5-hour hop to the small Mexican port of Loreto on the Baja California coast. To the south, the sparkling waters of the Sea of Cortez teem with marine life. There are tuna, marlin, and yellowtail. But it's also home to 150 different types of shark and a highly unpredictable giant Humboldt squid.
Loretta Tower, Mooney, November 201, Juliet Mike. I'm about 30 miles out. I see a lot of weather building in front of me. Can you give me an idea of the weather at the airport?
I had kind of a premonition that something was going to go on with this, something was going to happen.
I was beginning to get pretty concerned. I couldn't raise anyone.
Okay, guys, I'm going to take us through this. We'll make better time.
Jim thinks it's just a squall, but he's actually flying into a violent storm.
It was just a real weird mix of waking up and trying to figure out where in the story I was in the opera and what was going on in the plane at that point.
I'm going to take us up.
Good! I'd like to have my stomach back!
As soon as we were heading the other direction, the sky got blue, The turbulence stopped, the rain stopped.
Everybody okay?
I didn't think you felt the bumps in first class.
Their sense of relief doesn't last long.
It was very alarming when the engine quit. It just sort of grenaded.
What's happened, son?
I don't know.
There's a single propeller blade stuck in the vertical position right in front of us.
It was like the hand of God reached up and shook the plane.
Unlatch the door. Brace yourselves.
I was ready. I had the headrest in my hands. If that was the last thing I ever saw, I wanted to see what happened to me.
Are we going to be knocked unconscious and die, or is it just going to be, boom and lights out?
I realized that nothing had happened that I was expecting to happen. I was expecting the plane to cartwheel and come apart in pieces.
We're alive.
As his friend's father continues to deteriorate, Jens reaches a decision.
I was worried about John. I couldn't handle watching John die. I didn't want to be there for that.
Jim! Jim!
Jens and Jim separated from us for some reason.
We need to get help for your dad! I don't think anyone's coming! I'm gonna try and make it ashore!
My plan at that point was to leave Jim with my dad to care for my dad in case something happened.
Okay, let's do it! No, Jim! On my own!
And I said, come on, that's... Are you gonna swim you gonna swim alone? You're just gonna leave us and swim alone?
That doesn't make sense! We should swim together!
I had already made up my mind at that point that I was leaving.
Jim knows it may be the last time he sees his friend. Now he has to break the news to Jens's father.
Where's Jens? He's going for help! Why'd you let him go by himself? You shouldn't have let him go by himself! That's my son!
And he said that they had decided that somebody needed to go for help. And since Jens is probably the strongest swimmer of all of us, he took the swim fins that Jim had on.
My dad never saw me as being a strong person, and I was going to show him that I could do this, and he couldn't. It was that. It was that I've grown up, and I'm going to show you.
Jim's dad is now exhausted and seriously dehydrated. His condition is deteriorating by the hour.
I felt very helpless because there's nothing I could do. I couldn't pick him up, I couldn't hold him, I couldn't drag him off in any direction to safety. There's a feeling of extreme helplessness.
As night fell, the storm subsided. But Jens still has many hours swimming ahead of him before he can reach land and raise the alarm.
I'd been swimming for nearly 6 hours. I was thirsty, really thirsty.
Exhausted, Jens faces a new ordeal. A swarm of stinging jellyfish.
It felt like when your hand goes to sleep or your foot goes to sleep, just in little spots all over. They were getting in my shorts, which is not a place you really want jellyfish.
The barrage of stings push Jens's already exhausted body to the verge of total collapse.
I had way too much to live for, you know? All I wanted to do was make sure I got back to my beautiful wife and my child. I could hear my wife's voice of encouragement. Just hang in there. You can get through this. I'm fighting off the cold. I'm fighting off the chills by using more energy to keep myself warm. And I remember thinking, how long can I keep that up? How long until the body finally just gives out? And will I be aware of that happening, or will I just sort of, all of a sudden, you know, there's a light and there's Grandma and Elvis and, you know.
It's now over 12 hours since their plane was forced to ditch in the sea, and all three men are beginning to lose hope. They don't know if they can make it till daylight. Their only glimmer of hope is Jens making it to shore, but they have no idea if he is still alive. Jens is still struggling to find his way through the hazardous reef. Finally, after 2 hours, he sees something.
That was just, it was amazing. As I swam farther and farther south, I saw a light on the beach. It was a Mexican fisherman that had camped out on this beach.
He doesn't get the reaction he was expecting. The fishermen are wary. People coming ashore in the middle of the night are often drug smugglers.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. No hablo español.
The fisherman spoke no English. Not enough to communicate what happened and what I needed.
Jens is led away by the fishermen. He has no idea where they're taking him, but he's given up trying to make himself understood.
It was horribly frustrating to not be able to tell them, look, we need to go back out there and find these other people. They are in danger. And instead of heading out to look for the others, they started taking me south.
What Jens doesn't know is that the fishermen are taking him to the port of Loreto. There, he can at last alert the authorities to mount a rescue mission. Now, he faces an agonizing wait for news.
Help! God, look! Help! Help!
The Mexican Navy, alerted by the helicopter search crew, are on their way. Jens' epic swim has saved their lives.
We could see on the deck of the boat a large party of sailors.
They were so happy to see us in the water and see us alive. I think they were happier than we were.
In a lot of their missions, all they found was bodies. And some of the young sailors were crying.
And Jim was the first one off the boat. And he hugged me.
I thought you were dead.
There was a huge sense of relief for the both of us to see each other again.
Yes.
And my dad came over and hugged me and told me he loved me. And that's the first time my dad had said that in years. At that point, I really felt that he did. I felt that he was proud of me.
And I still think of him as a hero.
There's like this frenzied attack, and the sharks are eating Mark underneath the Zodiac. Oh, sharks. It was, without a doubt, the most horrifying moment of my entire life.
The sharks now had a taste of what they'd been following for days, and they wanted more.
The 4 remaining survivors of the trash man cling to life as they drift helplessly in the Atlantic. The sharks have just claimed their first victim, John, the captain.
After John went over, we all just sort of sat back for a while. I think everyone was so shocked. And Meg was crying, but she wasn't sobbing. She was so sad, and she was so sick.
Hey, gorgeous. I know how to make you feel better. Take your mind off John. Promise.
He says, "Hey, lady, I think it's about time you and me had sex." And that just, like, hit me over the head with a 2x4, and I woke up Brad, and Brad,
We've got to stop this.
Let's just see how she deals with it. Right. I'm tired of playing games. I'm just going back to the 7-Eleven to get some more beer and cigarettes.
Mark, you're not going to the 7-Eleven for anything. You know we're in this dinghy, don't you?
I'm just going over for a minute. Just to stretch my legs. And get rid of the cramps. Just for a moment.
Brad and I get up and go, "Man, the sharks just ate John."
No. I'm just stretching my legs. I'm getting right back in.
And just about that time, we feel this. Bam! And then we feel a bam again. And all of a sudden we realize there's like this frenzied attack, and the sharks are eating Mark underneath the Zodiac.
Oh, sharks.
It was, without a doubt, the most horrifying moment of my entire life.
The sharks now had a taste of what they'd been following for days, and they wanted more. So they tried to tip the boat over with Meg, Debbie, and I in the raft.
What would it feel like once they began to drag you under? What would it feel like with that first bite? And maybe it would be better if we jumped over and drowned ourselves so we would never have to feel it. And it lasted for what seemed like an eternity, like hours. That night, I remember waking up and looking up, and there were stars everywhere. It was like a starry night. And then I began to hear Meg moan in the dinghy.
I think she was frustrated and she just wanted to strike out at somebody. I mean, John really did her a dirty trick, leaving her there in the raft.
It was really weird. She took her hands and started moving them in the air like a Spanish dancer, like she was in completely some other world. And then, out of the blue, she just started talking.
Yeah. What
did she say?
I don't know.
And it all of a sudden became very clear to me that Meg was speaking in tongues.
She's dying, isn't she?
She was dying. She was really close to death.
Meg?
When we woke up, Meg was dead in the bottom of the dinghy. All that fetid mixture that was left over from the seaweed and the urine and the pus and...
Debbie. Should we eat her?
We were starving, and you've heard of cannibalism at sea, and are we gonna, nourish ourselves by somehow figuring it out how to butcher her and eat her, or what are we going to do?
Ugh. She's too infected, Brad. We have to get rid of her.
I'm so hungry. My stomach's twisting in pain. You're right.
And so we decided that we would take off her shirt and all of her jewelry so that we could give those to her family. I got really mad at Brad because he was like, I can't get the ring off. I'm like, get it off. It's not like you're gonna hurt her. Just take it off and get it off. It was such a sad moment because we laid her body, naked body, on the side of the raft, and then we decided that we couldn't just push her over, that we had to give some kind of a funeral. And so we said the Lord's Prayer and Psalm 23, and then we just gently pushed her body overboard. And we decided then that we would just go back to sleep so that if the sharks attacked her, we wouldn't have to see it. And so that's what we did.
People can argue that it was a physical thing that killed Meg, but I think it was John abandoning her and making her despair that killed Meg.
When we reached a clearing, and I saw some movement in the bushes, and I just felt something was wrong. I began to wonder if my eyes were affecting me. The bushes seemed to be moving slightly. And then suddenly, charged 30 Khmer Rouge soldiers. I kept thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I have to do something. There's nothing I can do except choose my attitude.
I feel very scared at that time.
Stand still.
When the Khmer Rouge kidnap anybody, they were killed. Chris, he didn't scare. He looked normal.
Everything that I did was focused on, well, how can we survive? How can we get out of here? I thought about every gesture, every move, every blink of an eye.
He said, why you come here?
To help the Cambodian people. We are demining the area. We are a neutral organization working in Cambodia to help the Cambodian people.
He said that he doesn't care
neutral or it's not neutral, but this is his area. You try to say more words, you're gonna kill us.
And then they tell us to take our clothes off. I suppose fear is such a lonely thing. Here you are with all these people, and yet inside I felt very lonely. And I'm standing there in my underpants thinking, right, no matter what happens, I'll never assume the role of victim. Because I do think that if you behave in a certain way, you pre-program others to treat you in a certain way. They tell me to get in the Land Rover. I'll push things as far as I can. If I go too far, I'll take a step backwards very quickly.
Mr. Hoon, please tell the commander that I will be happy to meet with his commander tomorrow, but my organization will not allow us to go today.
Look, maybe chia ca con sông ai chứ luôn. He said no, you have to go to see his commander today.
I'm now a Khmer Rouge prisoner of war.
Which way?
Flow now, look, flow now. Let's go straight.
We're driving for what seems an eternity. And then the most heavy monsoon rain. The look on Ben's face tells me that he thinks we're going to die. There's no hope in his eyes. I'm watching the Khmer Rouge soldiers. I'm trying to work out what's going on inside their heads. You look in their eyes and there's just nothing there. There's no compassion, no feeling, no nothing. And there would be no point, you realise quite quickly, in ever asking them for kindness or mercy because they couldn't understand it.
Mr. Hoon? Yes? We asked the commander if he knows this area well.
Look, maybe chia ca con look squad the moneyច្បាស់លាស់ទេលោក He said he lived in this area for 30 years now.
All the time we're trying to keep things polite, trying to communicate on their level.
You have a wife and children.
Look, maybe chia caមានកូននេះមានប្រពន្ធទេលោក
ពូនឯងលោកមីខ្ញុំជាប្រពន្ធរបស់ខ្ញុំត្រង់ជាកូនរបស់ខ្ញុំ
Before he's married, but now he used the weapon as his wife, and the bullet is his son.
The Russian-made ZIL truck may have confused the Khmer Rouge. Their enemies have been using Russian military advisors for many years. Perhaps they think that's what Chris is really doing in Cambodia.
You must cross the river.
Tell the commander to send one of his men through the river first.
Psychologically, it's going to be far better if I make him send one of his men in to get wet. What I need to do is create some sort of a relationship with them in which they respect me. The commander would be very unlikely himself to walk through. He'd get one of his guys to do it.
This river marks the unofficial boundary between government and Khmer Rouge territory. The recent heavy monsoon rain has made it virtually impossible to cross.
No, it is too deep for the Land Rover. We cannot go across.
For the first time that day, I feel good because I'm calling the shots. I'm saying no. I am now in control.
So you must cross the river. If you're not across, go back to the Land Rover. Hey, let's go.
The Khmer Rouge soldiers are nervous. Until they cross, they're worried they could be attacked by government troops.
I speak to my driver and I say, look, you must listen to everything the soldiers are saying. Tell me what's going on.
Be fine.
If in next 20 minutes we are not across the river, they want to burn our car and they want to kill us.
We'll get across the river.
I have to find a way to get the vehicles through. We get into the middle of this fast-flowing stream at 2'6" of water, and I have a few anxious moments as I see the water starting to come under the doors. We just get through.
It's louder than anything, any noise I've ever heard, and it's right above us.
We just started praying.
I don't know who else to turn to. It's in the tent. It's around you. It's inside my sleeping bag.
We really thought this was it. We thought this was the end.
But we're saying these prayers just constantly, 3 every minute for hours.
Numerous times we were hit by 100-mile-an-hour wind blasts and just pelted with snow, but the big one didn't come.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is Piper 173 Alpha.
Mark's attempts to get a call out are hampered by the surrounding mountains that block the radio signal. Only a plane flying directly overhead will hear his call.
We've crashed on Rouge Glacier. Do you read me? Over.
I'm still amazed to this date that we're still around after that night.
Dave?
Jim has no intention of spending another night on the mountain.
Okay, Dave. I'm ready to go. Let's go. We can't just stay here. We're sitting ducks. You gotta haul me out. We can make it down to the glacier. Someone will see us there, man. No one will see us here.
Jim, would you look? It's too steep.
I didn't think I could do it.
Even if we cut across, we could start an avalanche.
I'm pissed because we're going nowhere.
What are you doing, Dave?
I'm looking for a safe spot.
Come off it. There is no safe spot in this whole valley. We just gotta get out of here.
We're moving over there.
That won't make any difference.
He puts me in the bivy sack to haul me over there. I don't like anything to do with this.
I set up the tent in this new location, and I feel pretty good about it. I said, Jim, your worries are over, buddy. We're good here until rescue comes.
You're dreaming. Just cut the bull. Quit acting all mellow. There's nothing mellow about this.
You are
always trying to swim upstream.
What are you talking about?
He's not fighting it. He's just kind of, letting it take him for a ride.
No, I wish I could stand up and walk off this thing. We would be down in an hour if I could stand up, We gotta fight.
What the heck are you talking about?
Man against nature. What a bunch of crock of BS.
I want to go down, Dave.
Do you want to live? Do you want to live? Then do what I tell you to for once.
At the ski hut, they're no closer to alerting a rescue party. The food supply is running low, and the strain is beginning to show.
There is nothing. Nobody there.
I don't know how much longer I can do this, Mark.
I'm sure somebody's made contact that we're missing, but they don't know if we're dead or alive.
This is the 6th night on the mountain, and it's still snowing heavily. Jim and Dave are now holed up in what Dave believes to be a sheltered spot.
And we might get a little bit of a blast. Nothing like the night before. Just feeling good. Yeah, I was right with my assessment. I put us in a safe place. Well, early in the morning, maybe 2 a.m., we heard a roar.
Oh, what the hell is that, Dave? Wake up!
There's a sickening, cracking rumble, explosions, boom.
Fly downhill 200 feet, 300 feet.
Jim, are you okay?
We're completely buried, 100% encased in snow. And my hips just screaming.
I can feel a pocket.
And he pulled me out of the snow. He lays me out on the ground in the sleeping bag, and I'm just laying there. The avalanches are roaring everywhere. It's just as bad, bad. It's war. We're just laying out there with nothing. We can't find anything.
There's nothing left, Dave!
I was just scrambling like a madman. The shovel, it's the key survival tool you have in the mountains.
Come on, man! Before another one comes! That's it! Come on, keep digging! Keep digging! Keep digging!
I'm just thinking the next avalanche is coming and the next one's taking us down the hill.